the Uthmanic Codex. For example, chapter 37, verse 12 of the Quran, when you read it today, it says, in fact, you are astonished by their denial while they ridicule you. But Ibn Taymiyyah uses a variant to prove that your God gets shocked and amazed. And here's how he quotes it. In fact, I was astonished by their denial while they ridicule you. So now, Ijaz, who's getting astonished? Does your God get astonished? Ajabtu? Or you're astonished? That's not the same, and it doesn't affect theology because it shows that your God is affected by your actions in time, which means he was caught by surprise. So this is a meaningful variant.
I go to Surah Sofa, text 7 says, بل عجبت ويسخرون, but to Muhammad wonder while they mock. Now go to Qira'ah of Abu Harith al-Kisai. He says, بل عجبت ويسخرون, which means but I, Allah, wonder while they mock. So let's see the explanation for this. Al-ajab min Allah ridda, which means satisfaction. The wonderness of Allah or from Allah is satisfaction.
As Safat 37:12, Tafsir Bagai. Rather, you are amazed. Hamza and Al-Kisai read it with a damma on the ta, and it is the reading of Ibn Masud and Ibn Abbas. Wonder at Allah, the Almighty, is not like wonder at humans, as he said. So they mock at them, Allah mocks at them. At Taba 79, and he, the Almighty, said, they forgot Allah, so he forgot them. At Taba 67, astonishment at people, denying and glorifying them, and astonishment at Allah the Most High may mean denial and blame, or it may mean approval and satisfaction, as came in the hadith, your Lord is astonished at a young man who has no youth. Narrated by Imam Ahmad, 451st. Ibn al-Dayba, al-Shaybani said in Tamyiz al-Tayyib min al-Kabith, p. 51. Al-Qudai narrated it in his Musnad from the hadith of Ibn Lahiyah with his chain of transmission on the authority of Uqba ibn Amir, with a chain of transmission traceable back to the Prophet, and this is how it is with Ahmad and Abu Ya'la, and its chain of transmission is good, and Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani for Ibn Lahiyah. It was mentioned in the hadith, your Lord was amazed by your asking, your despair, and the speed with which he answered you. In the printed version, your Lord was amazed by your asking. Narrated by Abu Ubaid in Al-Gharib on the authority of Muhammad bin Umar, with a chain of transmission traceable to the Prophet. Then he said, Al-Al, raising the voice in supplication, and he said, some of them narrate it as the first, which is intensity. C. Al-Kafi al-Shafi, p. 141. Al-Junayd was asked about this verse, and he said, God is not amazed by anything, but God agreed with his messenger when his messenger was amazed. So he said, and if you are amazed, then amazed is their statement. Al-Ra d. 5 meaning, it is as you say. Others read it with the opening of the ta, addressing the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, meaning, you are amazed at their denial of you, and they mock you at your amazement.
Decided to burn copies of the Quran that were in conflict to the point that Muslims are about to come to blows. You don't come to blows over minor differences. And he had the Qurans burned, and yet Abdullah bin Masud refused to the point that your sources say that Uthman instigated a mob reaction against Abdullah bin Masud, who got beat and his bones broken because he thought his knowledge of the Quran was superior to your Zayd ibn Thabit, who was an Ansari.
Sam makes this crazy claim that Ibn Mas'ud was beaten to a pulp and had his bones broken, and then Sam doesn't bother to mention the reference. Why is that? It seems like every time Sam fails to provide a reference for a statement, even though he should have it ready in this debate, it seems like there's something about those quotes. There is skepticism from Muslim scholars that have either referred to it as weak or fabricated. Sam, this is a debate there's like 6,000 people watching it live at the time. We'd expect you to provide a reference when making such claims.
How come the companions of Muhammad could not figure out how many chapters? Abdullah bin Masud said, only 111. Ubay bin Ka'b said 116, which you tried to pass off as dua. Are you saying Ubay bin Ka'b, the master of the Quranic reciters, did not know those 2 chapters were not surahs but prayers? So you know more than Ubay?
Now, the claim that Ibn Mas'ud believed in 111 chapters of the Quran conflicts with other information that we have from Ibn Mas'ud. So, Qatada, who's a second generation Muslim scholar, said that Ibn Mas'ud used to recite Al-Falaq and Al-Nas. So any reports about Ibn Mas'ud removing them from his personal mushaf, that doesn't mean that Ibn Mas'ud doesn't believe in them. He may have had like his own personal ijtihad that they shouldn't be included within the mushaf, even though he did believe that they are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In regards to Al-Fatiha, we do have reports from Ibn Mas'ud where he is quite explicit. If the reports are correctly attributed to him, he simply says that if I was going to include Al-Fatiha in the beginning of every single chapter, if I was going to include Al-Fatiha in my mushaf, I would have to include it in the beginning of every single chapter. So that may be the reason why he did such a thing. Now, we also have the Kufan recitations from Ibn Mas'ud, and all those recitations have the last 2 chapters of the Quran, and of course the first chapter of the Quran. So therefore, there's no reason to believe that Ibn Mas'ud rejected these chapters or as a part of the Quran. As for Ubay's 116 chapters, Sam is referring to what some people refer to as Surat al-Khalq and Surat al-Haft, and I'm not aware of any authentic reports attributed to Ubay in which he included them in his mushaf. And Sam, again, one more time, if you're going to make these claims, you need to provide evidence for these. And what we do find is in Sahih ibn Khuzaymah, Ubay bin Ka'b would recite this as a supplication before he prostrated, after he performed other supplications. So this would be after bowing down, and then he'd get up and he would supplicate and supplicate for the Muslims that they would achieve victory, and he would curse the enemies, and then he would say these words, which would mean that these are not actually part of the Quran in the view of Ubay bin Ka'b. And yes, that's in Sahih ibn Khuzaymah. And then finally, Sam makes this desperate argument.
How much time I have? Because I got a lot of these examples.
15 seconds.
It shows Quran is corrupted. How many?
12 seconds.
12 seconds. Anyway, the point is, your own standard buries your Quran because there are no 2 Quranic manuscripts that are 100% identical. Point to the 2 Quranic manuscripts that are 100% identical.
Shut your mouth, you muqallid, jahil, murakkib, animal, sectarian freak.
So this one is really a desperate one because there's no way that Sam can do this with the Bible. And I mean, I've never personally been through a mushaf from the first page to the last page and compared it to other mushaf because I mean that's really time consuming. But what I did do is whenever I came across variants, I would go to other masahif and I would find all the others agreeing in what the correct recitation is supposed to be. So even if we didn't have 2 manuscripts that were identical, we can clearly come to a conclusion as to what the correct words are. And for those that are curious about my work in this, you can check out this article on my academia page where me and Brother Mansour go through all the examples that Dan Brubaker provides in his terrible arguments against the Quran and its preservation. Oh, and by the way, Trinity was kind enough to write up a valuable intro for us, so please check that out as well.